Okay, great. Thank you so much. Perfect. Well, just to begin, I just want to kind of introduce UK for UNHCR. We are the fundraising partner for UNHCR in the UK, and UNHCR is the UN Refugee Agency. So UNHCR has a mandate to protect displaced people around the world. Um, UNHCR traditionally been fundraising in the UK, I think, for about 10 years. But then with the creation of UK for UNHCR and the charity, um, we were able to start fundraising actively within individuals earlier this year. So only started fundraising in April. Seems like a very long year already, but April of this year. So if you want to go to the next slide. Um, Great. So, as I mentioned, we were fundraising as UNHCR before April, and then started fundraising as UK for UNHCR post April. So, as we kind of moved to UK for UNHCR, we moved to our new donation pages. So, on the left is our UNHCR donation pages that we used. So, it had the strong image at the top, the form below, and then copy under that as well. And we did a lot of testing, A/B testing to kind of get the form to that position. When we moved to UK for UNHCR, our forms were totally different again, and it was kind of looking at how this new form that was a 3-column, how we would be able to kind of have the same results and how we'd be able to improve and optimize the new pages through testing. So that's kind of what we ended up with, was that 3-column page. And then, can kind of go through ultimately what our process was. So looking at our new page that we had, 3 columns, the image was slightly obstructed and the copy wasn't as present. But our conversion rates were still good, and we just wanted to look though at how we could kind of focus on optimization and how we could kind of integrate that kind of culture of testing throughout our donation pages and throughout the year. So this is kind of the 3 pillars that we landed on. So, and kind of how we could both test our iRaiser pages, and then how we'd also be able to test kind of the experience around that, and then also kind of our website pages and how those would all work together. So looking at layout and experience, copy, and creative. And kind of with these 3 pillars in mind, we developed a testing roadmap. I won't really go into details of what those are. They're kind of not to just read everything, but yeah. So this was our optimization roadmap that we kind of built and developed. With each block, we kind of had the idea that each test would run for a month based on the previous month's test, but then also based on traffic. We have quite a few donation pages live based on various emergencies, events, appeals, and then audiences. So it's kind of how you can filter that traffic based on our general page or kind of our larger emergencies like Syria, Yemen, and now Afghanistan. So with that in mind, this was kind of what we landed on for Q3 and Q4 for the rest of this year. And kind of similar to kind of those 3 pillars, it was looking at how we could test the ask and the images, how we'd be able to test the page development and thank yous. So the following, like with the thank you page, how we could actually improve that journey or what we could include. And then also just looking at what we can do on the wider site, as I mentioned. So would we be able to include any things to tie together the pages and kind of test on our wider website. We are using Google Optimize to run all these tests, and it's been really helpful so far. So basically, I've updated, this is our updated one, but the new page layout is in July. Originally, I think we kind of had it bookmarked for September, October. So Simon, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yes.
Please, thank you. So, so as I said, we kind of had the 3-column default on our pages when we built them in April. And then when the 1-column layout was introduced in, I think, July or late June, we immediately kind of rearranged our roadmap. I think one thing to note is kind of keeping a flexible roadmap. So obviously kind of being able to alter that and amend that depending on testing results, traffic, and what is actually statistically significant or not. So yeah, when the one column format was introduced, we immediately launched that test throughout July, ran it for the entire month, and as you can see, the one column format was a very, very clear winner. Throughout that, we saw that there was a 133% increase in revenue on the one column layout compared to the three column layout. And the next slide just kind of shows kind of that consistency across the month, and then shows that really there wasn't necessarily any outliers or kind of any major gifts that skewed that. And I think the probability to best was like 99%. It was very statistically significant, and it was a very clear winner. So this is kind of going through, we have the session breakdown, the transactions, and then as you can see that the conversion rate and the revenue per session was much higher on the one column, and then that the bounce rate was actually lower. So with this in mind, we immediately, I think there might be some text that comes up. Thanks, Simon. So it was a very clear winner. So kind of where the subject is always visible, performed hugely better than the control. With this in mind, we immediately switched all pages to the single column format. That was very easily done with the default in the back end. And while building pages, we kind of always had a real emphasis and priority in having really strong, captivating images that related to the appeal. So making sure though that the faces were visible in the lower right corner, so that if you did scroll, you would be able to see those images while making a donation. So when the one column layout was introduced, all of our images, the profile and subject was in that right side, like in the right side, and really seemed to work with that. So as I said this, we changed the format in August, which was preceding our Yemen appeal, but our Yemen appeal was actually derailed by the escalation in Afghanistan. And not going to give all of this credit to the test because there was an outpouring of support from across the UK, but kind of looking at the test results that we saw from July, we did see, I think that did impact performance overall, and there was a 919% increase in online income in August compared to July, which is massive, and it was very monumental. So a lot of support, and really great to kind of see how many people responded to the situation and are continuing to respond to the situation. And basically, our next test was on monthly default versus one-off, and that's kind of following the roadmap. We changed everything to the one column and then started to break down and test again. So now we're currently testing, or we tested one-off versus monthly default. We're analyzing the results now because it's a little bit more difficult to see the clear winners because of the monthly donations and how that works out. And then we're currently running 2 other tests as well. So, yep, of course.
Sorry, we have just a couple of questions about actually the A/B testing. So Marie was asking if this was A/B testing, and if you could just give more information how you organize the test. So like what visitor received which version, but you can maybe, well, you or Simon can basically explain how it works with the solution.
Yeah, of course. So with so we use Google Optimize to run all of our tests. And there are options for multivariate, but this one was an A/B split test. And what we did was we actually redirected. So 50% would be directed to the page 1, which had the 3 columns. And then we actually built an entirely separate page. So this was kind of also a bit easier for our recording internally. So we built 2 pages, one with the 3 columns, one with 1 column. And then through Google Optimize, we were able to redirect the audience and split them so that they would be split between the 2 pages.
Okay, great, thank you. And just very quickly, another question from Anne saying a bounce rate of above 50%, isn't that pretty high?
Well, so the one thing is that we have just launched as a charity in April. So we are still getting new traffic. We're still kind of looking at how we can work on our SEO and then how we can actually improve those metrics across the board. It might be a bit higher, but considering that, you know, it's a new platform, it's a new channel, we're quite happy with that. And that's another metric that will start to improve. So right now it's kind of looking at how we can improve the conversion rate, how we can get that traffic. And then I think kind of looking at that, we'll kind of continually tweak and see kind of what we can test and how we can improve that bounce rate overall.
Thank you very much, Sage.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations for these results. I think it's really, really impressive.
Incredible,
so,
yes.
Congratulations for your work. And I have questions regarding the segmentation. Did you try to test between different type of donors? Maybe, I don't know, someone that already knows you, maybe a tricolon which is much short and smaller can be much more efficient than the one column, regarding someone coming from social media that need more inspiration. I don't know, did you try this kind of test also, or at least?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I think it's something that we've kind of factored into our roadmap and something that we hope to test more in the next year. So even though we've kind of moved to the one column default, it's not that we've completely ignored the fact that the 3-column exists and that we would like to test that. I think with this one, as our traffic numbers are still a bit lower and kind of as we're moving into the charity, we're looking at kind of how we can get the most traffic through our page right now, and so how we can see the biggest pool for our test. So with this, it was through, so kind of, this was our general page. In July, we saw horrible traffic, which I don't know is also kind of, we had a few kind of environmental factors at play of restrictions opening up, summer, but we really wanted to pool as big of an audience as possible for this one. So this was kind of from email, this was also from paid media, and then, yeah, including search, social, and display. So basically all of our online traffic to one specific page, which was our general page. So kind of, if you land on our website and you click donate, it goes to that general page. And then if you donate through like an email newsletter, there will be kind of the general page as well.
Okay, cool. So we have to invite you next year to see the evolution of different tests and the analysis. We'll see the results together.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much once again to share with you with us all these results and to be as transparent as it is, because it's really I think it's really nice to see this kind of numbers and to be able to compare with different situations that people may face in their organization. So really, really interesting. Thank you again.